Pacific Rim Uprising. That's the next movie we're gonna be watching. What the? That's cancer. Again. Pacific Rim Uprising. Now, when I first saw the first Pacific Rim movie, I loved it. Not just because of its characters and the fact that it had sort of that Guillermo del Toro feel. I mean, he directed the first movie. But also because of the fight scenes between the kaijus and the Jaegers. I really loved the first Pacific Rim movie. And now, there's a sequel. And did it live up to its predecessor? Not really. Pacific Rim Uprising was trash compared to its predecessor. Now, Pacific Rim Uprising is just a disappointment to the first movie. And let me explain why. For starters, the characters. Now, let's see the list of characters here. Okay, we got John Boyega's character. I forgot his name, and I don't give a shit. And then we got John Boyega's sidekick, who built a Jaeger named Scrapper. Totally not a Mary Sue. And we got a bunch of bland characters I don't give a shit about. And then the three returning characters, Newt, Herman, and Mako. Okay. Now that we got the list of characters, let's get on to the characters themselves. John Boyega's character is basically this former Jaeger pilot who's the son of Pentaghost. You know, the guy who sacrificed himself in the first movie? You don't remember? He's the black guy. Yeah, now you remember him. But yeah, basically, he's a son. He's Pentaghost's son, even though I don't think they ever mentioned him having a son in the first movie. You know what? Let's forget about that, and let's actually look at his character. So basically, he was a former Jaeger pilot, and now he's selling Jaeger parts in the black market in exchange for food. And then, after being captured, his sister Mako lets him become a Jaeger pilot again, and then that's it. That's pretty much his character. He doesn't really learn anything. He's just kind of, you know what, I'm gonna be a Jaeger pilot now. I don't know why, but I want to be a Jaeger pilot now. Then we got John Boyega's sidekick. I forgot her name too. That's why I'm just gonna call her John Boyega's sidekick. Basically, she's this little girl whose parents were killed by a kaiju, and then years later, she built a fucking Jaeger for some reason. Let me make that clear. A 13-year-old girl built a fucking Jaeger. Now, granted, the Jaeger's not that big, but it's a fully functioning Jaeger. And his name is Scrapper. Yeah, you know it's embarrassing when I can remember the Jaeger's name than the little girl's name. Okay? It just doesn't make any sense. She's a Mary Sue, okay? She is just like Rey from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Okay, now that we got the two main characters who learn nothing, let's just move on to the reoccurring characters. Newt, he's funny as always, but plot twist, he's the bad guy who's being controlled by the precursors. And basically, he works for this hot lady Asian chick who is building drones for Jaegers. But it turns out Newt is foiling her plans because Newt is making these Jaegers half kaiju hybrid things, which was actually kind of a good idea. But guess what? The Jaeger kaiju hybrids are only in the movie for like a few minutes until the real kaiju come back. Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. And then there's Herman. You know, I like Herman. He's pretty much the only character I liked in this movie because he's the only character who stays alive and doesn't break character, because I don't recall Newt being mind controlled by the precursors in the first movie. You know what? Never mind. Okay, those are the characters. The characters are just bland, and the two main characters, yeah, I guess they have some type of character, but their character arcs just start and then they immediately end for like the rest of the movie, like they don't learn anything or something like that. I guess John Boyega's sidekick was learning how to drift or something like that, but then again, it's not really a great conflict because one day she just doesn't know how to drift, and then the next day she suddenly knows how to drift. You know, I just feel like the two main characters, they have character arcs, but they don't actually go through them, you know. It's just, they seem a little bit rushed. I don't know, it's just hard to describe. The two main characters have starting points, but they never end those starting points because they end them right after they started. It's hard to explain, but yeah, they're just kind of bland. Mako, I thought we were going to learn something new about her, but she dies. And Newt, like I said, he's all of a sudden the bad guy, which I don't get what's with mainstream trying to turn good guys into bad guys, like first Cortana and now Newt. Ugh. And then Herman, the only character I like, because he stays true to his character from the first movie. But anyways, enough about the characters. Let's actually get into the movie itself. The plot is kind of like Independence Day Resurgence. You know, the first movie ended with an actual ending, but the sequel tries too hard to make a continuation of that. Yeah, sort of like that. And the actual robot fight scenes, look, the first Pacific Rim movie's fight scenes were really good because it felt like the giant robots were actually, you know, giant robots. They had weight to them, like you can actually feel like they were real. But here, they just look like Power Rangers, pretty much. Yeah, and the fight scenes are just not good. They're not like the first movie where they felt realistic. In this movie, they're just go go Power Jaegers. Ugh. And the kaijus themselves, look, the first Pacific Rim had some great kaiju designs, but here the kaijus are just generic. And overall, this second Pacific Rim was basically Power Rangers. Nowhere near good as the first movie, and I'll just rate it 4 stars out of 10. It was just a really bad movie, okay? I'll see you guys next time.